we got our teams together, and you can do this at any level, and we make sure it was just an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and we would just spend an evening where it would always have three things, three components of it. Number one, it had to be fun. Number two, it had to be competitive. And number three, it had nothing to do with the sport we play. And that was really important because, they get so much of their sport. Even the little kids nowadays are specializing in one sport. It's important to us that we keep having them compete in teams, but that they have a great time so they want to come back. But they also understand that there are other sports they can play and have a good time with it and compete in every aspect. Now, we do that for an hour and a half. We do things like we'd play on no-dribble basketball on 4 different baskets. We'd take the air out of the ball, and they'd have to pass it around to each other, and we'd keep score and compete. By the way, we were very careful about how we put the teams together. We'd make sure the good players were with the very average players or below average talent level players so that everything would balance out and it would be equal. It's very important that you do that. Again, our principle of the strong protecting the weak and championing the weak continues to be fostered and grow through that process. Now, lastly, and grilling out and having parties is another great thing to do. Obviously, no alcohol or anything like that. But again, you're just having ways to get these guys together and hang out. Jesus was a hangout God. More is caught than is taught. The more your players are around you, the more they're going to learn about you and what you believe and why you act the way you act, especially around your family. Some of those kids never even have a role model of what a healthy marriage looks like. So it's important that you get them over to your house and let them be there. Now, another great way to develop a legacy and to leave a legacy, because, by the way, they're going to do all these things when they become a coach because that's what they remember, because you're recreating memorable experiences. Another thing to do is that you can do more with your players than you think. Now, the study you just went through, the 12-week study you just went through, Coaching to Win God's Way, well, we rewrote that for student athletes. We added a couple of chapters about supplements and dating, but it's almost the exact same study but rewritten for athletes. You could pick 3 or 4 or 5 of your leaders, and you could take them through the Winning God's Way study. And it's another small book in the same format and everything. So it's important you understand you can mentor your athletes with that study. And there's more studies after that. Now, what you're really doing is leadership training. You are uniting and developing leaders is what you're doing with these materials and mentoring them. It's a great way to you meet with your players anyway every week to tell them who they are, where they're going, how they're going to get there. That's what you do with your leaders. So as a coach, I want to encourage you that that's another opportunity you can take advantage of and just mentor some of your players. We have some Winning God's Way groups, we call them, the ones with the student athletes, that there are 40 or 50 kids in them that coaches lead. And they're not replacing the huddles as far as FCA goes, but what they are doing is they're meeting a specific need of those student athletes to have team Bible studies and to compete biblically. They want to learn how to compete biblically. It's really a neat thing. Well, lastly, you need a mentor. And one of the things I want to encourage you to do is tell your group that they need to pray for mentors. They need to have a push-pull philosophy with their life from now on to the end of time. If they want to grow spiritually, if they want to run really fast in their spiritual growth, one of the things that can happen is we go a lot faster when someone's pulling us and we're being pushed at the same time. So if we can get a mentor, someone that you can meet with on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, that person can pull you in places that maybe you don't know how to get to yet, much like we've done in this study. If you're mentoring players at the same time or other coaches, and you can start your own legacy builder group too with these books, then they can push you as a discipler, as a teacher, to get you to learn more as you teach them. So now you have the pull-push principle, and that's very important to have that in your life, and to your coaches to have that in their life from now on. Well, I've talked too much, and Now we're at the very end, and I just want you to know a few things. One, that we're so very thankful for all that you've done as a facilitator. And two, I just want to encourage you to continue to talk to these coaches in a manner that you just want them to get in the game. All they got to do is get doing something, and God will move and just keep them moving, keep them in the Word, keep that balance, but go do something. Get involved so that they can see God working in their life. Remember, the purpose of this group, remind them, was to teach them how to leave a legacy, and then to get them to disciple other people and to spread the wealth and to get other people to know about it so that they can impact the infrastructure, impact the culture instead of the culture impacting all these young kids. That's the major purpose. I want to thank you for taking the time, again, to lead this group. It's important that if your group wants to continue more lessons, that there are other studies. There's the study called The Quest, Coaching for Jesus in a Bottom Line World. There's also another study called The Master Coach. It's a coach's playbook for biblical discipleship. They're all in the Legacy Builder Study Series. You can get those at coachesministry.com or at crosstrainingpublishing.com. But more importantly, this last lesson should be a celebration for you too. As after you go through all these things, set up a time when all the families now of the coaches can get together, maybe a week or 2 weeks down the road, just to have a little grill out or a picnic or something like that, nothing major. But get all the families together because, again, there's power in uniting leaders and their families. That doesn't happen automatically. We found that, in fact, they will not unite unless there's a common reason to do so. So take it upon yourself to get them to set a date and to get together and have a legacy builder party as far as that goes. Also, we want to make sure that you have a chance to talk to this group about how this study has changed them over the last 10 weeks. That's an important question to ask them in the last lesson because you want to be fed too. And it's so encouraging that when people tell you what they liked and how they were fed and how it changed their lives and their families, it really excites them. Well, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment and your obedience to God's calling to facilitate this Legacy Builder group. And remember, you too are leaving a legacy for God's kingdom. Thank you.